Hello, well, this is a quick and rushed Sunday video because I also wanted to enjoy my Sunday and I happen to be out here, but I don't want to miss the chance to share a couple of thoughts with you about two topics, two very important topics. One is the matter of what has happened this year in the Real Madrid locker room. And it's not because I wanted to brag to say I told you so or to settle scores. But yes, a little bit, yes, because a lot of things have been said during this year about those of us who, at the time after the dismissal of Xabi Alonso, spoke up, and it cost us a lot, both for the channel and personally, insults. Everything, right? Everything. And there were a bunch of people here from the Garnet side who, accused you of not being a Madrid fan and they wanted to be right and all that. And we've reached this point where we're 11 points behind Barca, and in a few days they're going to win the league, and they're going to win it right in front of us. An uncomfortable situation might occur with the possible guard of honor, though I doubt it will happen. I'll explain why. I don't want Madrid to give Barcelona a guard of honor, or for them to win the league right there in that match where we're going to put the finishing touch on not one but two spectacular seasons for Madrid. The guard of honor is one thing. I'll get to that now, and to go in chronological order. Let's watch a video from Collins, a highly respected professional, Javier Alberti. I regularly feature him on the channel because he's a great person, an expert, and I always value his opinion. And he has good information from inside Madrid, and he's very respected. And what he says, I think, usually is well received by most people, which I think is great because he's a very sensible guy. He recently put out this video, I think a few days ago, and I'm going to play it now. He talks about things we already discussed at the time, about the Real Madrid locker room and how unmanageable it is, and how badly they treated the previous coach and how badly they apparently are treating the current coach. And along the lines of what we're saying, that if certain things don't change in the locker room, and for things to change in the locker room, the way things are done has to change. In how Florentino Perez understands what that locker room is and the power they should have, meaning just enough, much less than the power the coach should have. Well, that's not good, that's not good. It's not like we haven't warned them both months ago and now. Madrid isn't going anywhere, no matter how good our players are. If things keep going the way they are, they're with a group of very good players. I think they're not as good as they think they are, but still very good. In any case, it's a squad you can get a lot out of, but they're spoiled. We use that term, as Florentino said back in the day, before he made his exit in 2006 with the previous Galacticos. Well, it seems like we're heading down that path, but it's not just me saying it. I've been saying it for a while. I've been saying it for a long time, and back then we got criticized for saying it, but now Collins is saying it in this video, which is really worth watching. And honestly, I agree with every word he says. Look,
it's hard for me to believe that without some sacrifice. I mean, there has been a lot of indiscipline this year, a lot. I know that Xabi Alonso, we all know it, that Xabi Alonso has had a really tough time. I know there are people who know those around him, and what they tell you is that, well, part of the locker room, not the whole locker room, but part of it, has made things very difficult for him, very difficult. They didn't accept his authority. But the thing is, Arbeloa is a Madridista, but he's as Madridista as they come. It's impossible to be more of a Madridista than Arbeloa. Arbeloa is fed up with half the squad, completely fed up, and I'm telling you this firsthand. So it's hard for me to believe that without some kind of sacrifice, at least a public act of, well, look, you're the one who's going to lose out. No one here is going to change. No one here is going to change. The truth is, it's a locker room where no one is really aware that someone could come in and punish them. No, that doesn't exist. And they just do whatever they want. They don't have the sense of a threat that could end their status. That doesn't exist, which is absurd for any worker anywhere in the world. If you don't do what you should, at the very least, you'll be afraid that the company will fire you. But not here. That doesn't exist here. That awareness doesn't exist. So it starts, everything is tainted. So, yes, what you say about sacrifice could be a solution. Look, superstar, out you go. I'm not saying Vinicius, eh? Vinicius, Mbappe, Bellingham, Valverde. Go make your living somewhere else. Unless people see that here, whoever does something wrong pays for it. No, no, if you come here, this isn't a playground.
Well, you've heard it already. Javier says he has information from inside about what they're doing to Alvaro Arbeloa right now. And listen, Alvaro Arbeloa, as he says, it's hard to find someone more of a Madrid fan than him. A guy who, from the very first minute, has only had good things to say about the players. I understand, and we've been saying throughout these last few months that Alvaro Arbeloa has been the coach of Real Madrid, that he must be doing something besides just praising them with his players, because he did that publicly, but in his dealings with them, he was demanding. Naturally, as it couldn't be any other way for a Real Madrid coach. And to maintain a very interesting balance there, which, hit the right note that his friend Xavi Alonso didn't manage to. And he said, well, look, I'm going to be demanding with them because you have to be, but at the same time, hey, I'm going to pat them on the back a little like Zidane did, because of course there's only one Zidane. And well, it seems that Arbeloa hasn't made it work either, right? Because apparently he's fed up with half the squad, and man, how do you solve this? Well, this gets fixed through structural change at the club. A lot of things inside have to change, but above all, it starts with the man at the top, Florentino. I mean, whichever coach you sign, whichever coach you give the free reign to do whatever he has to do with players who don't behave on the field as the coach asks, and that includes benching them, sidelining them, whatever it takes. If we don't get to that point, the same thing will happen to us again. Against a ruined club where they register players after the deadline, that's another issue, that's a different matter, and we'll get to that now. But a club that couldn't sign players because they weren't within financial fair play, and a series of things that we always thought would slow down the recovery of that club that has won 3 of the last 4 leagues against us. And Madrid, splendid from an institutional point of view, with a lot of money signing Mbappe, adding him to a great squad and so on, but also with poor planning because Kroos and Modric are leaving, and you don't replace them with equivalent players. Do you really think the ones who are there are good enough? Florentino's mistake is that he thinks the squad can just replace the good legendary players who left, and on top of that, he gives them more power than the coach. We're screwed, I think. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. The other thing is about the possible Guard of Honor, which I don't think will happen, and I'll explain why my view fortunately matches Real Madrid's. This is what Eric Garcia said when asked about it, the Barca player. In the end,
I think it's something for the club and the individual person to decide. In the end, when an opponent beats you in a competition, beats you in a final, or wins the cup, I think you have to show at least a minimum of respect. I think if it were up to us, we would do the Guard of Honor, whether it was Madrid or any other team, but well, if we find ourselves in that situation, we'll see what happens.
They act like they've never done anything wrong. I mean, as a club, it's just that, if you take these words out of the current and past context, you'd say, well, yeah, they're absolutely right. Despite the intense rivalry and mutual dislike between these clubs, here there's something that's just basic manners, which is where the respect of giving a Guard of Honor when the other club wins. No, but this hasn't been the case for the past 3 years, since February 2023. Here there's a club that broke the rules, that managed to deceive us. To those of us who believed in the integrity of this competition, they turned that around by paying the second in command of the referees to influence the competition. And in his own words, from Enrique Negreira, so that no decision would be made against FC Barcelona and there would be neutrality in the refereeing system. And that's playing dirty, besides what they've done with the registration issue, either past the deadline and helped by the government, or without money, with fake money, through those financial levers, in which, by the way, Real Madrid collaborated by giving the idea and without complaining. Well, look, this is what we've created between one thing and another, from Real Madrid's point of view. understanding that Barcelona needed to be helped to move forward. And then, for that very reason, since we're in bed with them, because of the Super League issue, we didn't go all in on the Barcelona Negreira matter and wasted time. I even mentioned this in the previous video. The only information that has reached FIFA so far has been about the initiative and the complaint from Juan Luis Martín de Pozuelo, in collaboration with many of us who are here right now, on this and other platforms. With all the information about what he is doing, the whole process, and the reports from the Civil Guard, etc., it has already reached FIFA, and as far as we know, what Real Madrid announced about making a dossier and so on, as far as we know, has not reached FIFA. And UEFA, well, the same thing, they suspended it because they were missing information, and Madrid didn't act when they should have. Madrid as a club, right? Not to mention that later, well, Laporta, people from Barcelona, journalists, they go after Real Madrid, manipulating information, telling lies, and the club doesn't respond from a communication standpoint as it should. Yes, Real Madrid television does it, but that only reaches a handful of people, and even when they share it, not many people see it. But with a tweet or a video from Real Madrid on their platforms, on their social media, they could do much more than what they're doing now. Therefore, in this, we as a club are also a bit to blame. Now, if Madrid has decided, and it seems they have, not to give a guard of honor. That's why, because we're up against cheaters. And a club that decided to undermine the competition a long time ago and still hasn't paid for it. I'm on board with that. Absolutely, because we shouldn't give a guard of honor. Respect, yes, but only with those who have respected us, and Barca didn't respect us. Not Madrid, not the fans, nor the rest of the clubs, nor the fans of the other clubs. Well, have a great Sunday. Hope everything goes well for you. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to the channel, comment, share, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.